Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Good Company podcast. We're here for episode number 8 with Ryan Charterina, a buddy of mine, going to explain how he's kind of house hacked his way through 4 to 5 properties to kind of start his portfolio, and how he's going to be kind of transitioning that strategy into using more private hard money lending, and how he's going to scale his business doing that. And he's also just going to touch on some different ways to team building, sales, things like that. So we got a great conversation coming to you today. Please like, subscribe, and follow. Thanks so much. All right, guys, welcome back. Episode 8, the Good Company podcast. We are back. We got a full barn today. Ryan Comesso back. My co-host, myself, Jack Gailing, senior salesman here at First Equity. And then our guest, one of my best friends from growing up, still to this day, good buddy of mine, Ryan Charterina. Ryan, how you doing, bud?
We're out here.
Another show.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
All right. One big reason we have Ryan on, not only from being a close friend of mine, but one thing that he's done well and to perfection up until this point is house hacking. That's been his number one thing, is kind of acquiring real estate and using rental properties through more conventional channels, whether that be Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that today, kind of get a background on him and how he's been able to do that, maybe some numbers and some kind of actual real tangible scenarios about how he was able to do that. And then we're going to discuss your newest venture, which is with a company called EOS, which is just all about kind of building brands and building companies from the inside out and letting them scale and grow, which I think will be a cool thing to comment on kind of later on today.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Comesso, welcome back, bud.
Thanks.
Wasn't the same without you.
Good to be here. Yeah, no, it wasn't the same not being here. So
Good.
Thanks for having me. All right, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, we found out today that we're 2 years apart in CBA.
Classmates.
CBA guys.
The world.
Full ride guys, apparently.
Yeah.
We got scholarships.
We'll talk about that on the backside.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a
Crazy.
cool connection to make, man,
Yeah.
for sure.
Crazy.
It's great to have you, and thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate
Love
it.
it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Love it. So, yeah, I mean, not to jump right in, but we did a lot of prep in, the early kind of stages of today, the last half hour or so, which is mainly us just having a drink and catching up. But, give us some background to, the people in the room and the people watching that don't really know you, kind of, what you do, why you're here today, and kind of why you are the special guest that you are.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys, again. I guess to start, really, I grew up here locally, met Jack, and, we stayed in touch, for 10 plus years now. So, and sure enough, he gets into real estate, and I'm like, what do you do? And then so I started learning a lot more about, First Equity and kind of the commercial side of things that I didn't really know about before. So where I got started in real estate was really, it was kind of a weird start, not typical for most people, but I actually moved down to DC, and then bought a place back here in New Jersey in Neptune as a second home. And then I was like, that was stupid. Let me rent this out. So, after a certain period of time, I ended up renting it out to my sister, and, there's 2 other people living in there. And, I got that for a good price at like $350. This is like in 2019. And I even put 20% down like an idiot. Hey, man, we all make mistakes.
That's your first one, man. Exactly it. Exactly it.
Idiot. Lesson right there is don't put 20% down on your first house. Dump. Leverage. Use leverage. So yeah, I bought that for $350. In 2019, rented it out. Mortgage was like, $1,900, two grand, right around there. Renting out for $2,800. There's 200. Yeah, HOA is $200 a month. Kind of sucks, but that was the price of getting started. So that's where I got started. It's been 100% occupant the whole time since 2019. Then I moved to a place in Baltimore after DC, and I've been in sales kind of my whole career. So, I used my commissions to kind of fund real estate.
Right.
So I bought a place that I was living in now in Baltimore later that year in 2019. So I bought. Yeah, it's both townhomes.
Nice.
I think that's the best way to get started. I mean, owning a home is no joke.
Right.
You can like dumb it down and say it's easy, but it's not. Especially like the bigger you get and like the more stuff you have to take care of, you're like, oh man, it's kind of there's a lot of
Delegation's key, right?
a ton of work, and you're like, you gotta help. You need help. You can't do it all on your own.
Yep.
And I think that goes for everything in life. You know, if you're not good at something, like find someone who is good at it that likes doing that thing, and you know, use that to both advantages.
Right.
So yeah, bought that place. That was another. I mean, I was doing really well in sales, so that was a 20% down. Again, not smart, stupid. It's okay though. I learned. That was like 315, and then that one's, you know, I lived there for literally 2 months, and then I met my now wife,
Right.
who lives back here in Jersey. So I'm like, I can move back to Jersey, and I'm with the girl of my dreams. Yup. So pandemic rolls around. I'm like, she lives in Bradley, about 3 blocks from the beach, I think.
Okay.
It's like,
Shout out Darcy's Tavern.
hell
Yeah.
yeah, Darcy's. I love that place. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm going to move in with you at COVID.
Right.
I knew her for like 3 months. I was like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with her. I knew it right off the bat.
Love it.
Yeah, so it was epic. So then I started renting my other place out. I had an incident where I moved out and I rented it out. And one of the girls who was living with me was a tenant, because I house hacked the whole way through. So, you know, I was helping people kind of subsidize the mortgage and all that. Screening tenants all by myself, doing all of it. No, I'm just going to figure it out. So if someone asks you for a discount, that is a red flag right off the bat. So this girl asked me for a discount, and I was like, you know, I kind of need this filled, whatever. I was a classic impatient kid. And sure enough, she gets in there 3 months later. Her and the other roommate are going at it, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. And so I ended up having to evict her, and it was a headache. But lesson learned was, be careful with people who don't value what you're providing.
Right.
If they don't value it, it's not really in your interest, and they don't value what you're selling. So it's not a good fit for either one of you. So learn that lesson, but now that one's, you know, fully stable. I got an 18-month lease, so I'm good to go there. Good numbers as well. And then
So before we get to you and
I'm
Britt,
going crazy here.
before you get you and Britt. So we're now, you're out of college, graduated, first job, second job. We've got our first place, our second place, our third place. Never got rid of any of them. And so now those places and those, you know, yes, 20% down, which, you know, anybody out there right now is watching this is screaming at through their freaking screen, whatever they're watching it on.
They
You know,
should.
it's like, no, shaking their Apple phone. But not somebody who thought of yourself as a real estate guy going into DC, going into Baltimore, going into these ventures. And it was just more of like, okay, I got a good spot here and I can cash flow it. Okay. Go in, you know, like let's get a tenant, right?
Yep.
So it's like all these people that, you know, you follow and you watch on Instagram, and I built this $20 million, you know, portfolio and all this stuff. Here's a guy with 4 properties, great, you know, married, wonderful, you know, foundation. And it was all just step by step. And you call yourself impatient, but to a certain degree you weren't, because it was just you kind of finding opportunity where you were. And it was a necessity for you. I needed a spot in Baltimore, so I bought it.
Yeah.
But now I don't. But I'm not going to get rid of that because I bought it for $315. What do you think it was worth when you leased it out to that person?
It's probably could be like $375, $400 right now.
Right.
Yeah, but obviously the market's not not in a good selling spot right now. But when it comes back around the next fold, I mean.
But just in equity in general, like you
Yeah.
know, say you had to make a power play and you were in a position where you find your dream girl, and you know I think all three of us have at this point, you know, judging by our left hands.
Hell yeah.
But you know, you feel like you feel like you find this, you know, perfect opportunity, and it's like that's going to happen in real estate the same way that it happened, you know, in your love life. And it's like it could be a 3-family in you know, Atlantic Highlands that you might need the cash out on that Baltimore property to make that deal happen, or to get the cash to make that deal happen, or it might need to cash out on the Neptune townhouse that your sister was staying in. So, you know, those are the things I'm trying to conversate with people our age and in our friend group and all that stuff is like, be aware of those miniature situations. Is your mom moving out of her little ranch out in Bramtown? Why are you letting her move out of that without buying it? Why?
Especially now. I mean,
You know? because it's not only going to give you the easiest way of paying no fees of any type of realtors or anything like that. You're going to get a good deal. You have some opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to use this as a rental property, mom or uncle or aunt or father. How about me and you start a little LLC? I'll rent this out for the two of us. We'll share, split profit, whatever. There's so many things that are at your fingertips that it just takes those little opportunist, creative moments that, all of a sudden it's like, okay, now my portfolio just started. Like Corey upstairs, he's working on his mother's house, building it up, flipping it, doing the whole thing. And it's like, that's where my idea came from. It's like my parents have done a ton of work to their house, but those are the questions you're not asking, when you're somebody who's starting the real estate, investment journey. Start with aunts, start with uncles, start with, friends, families, and things like that, because there might be people that are looking to downsize, looking to retire, and they could be that jumping point for you and give you your first good deal, instead of having to go out and, I know that we've talked over the last, 5 years of just wholesale channels and direct mail and all that stuff. It's like, Aunt Karen would be a great start and an easy conversation of, hey, what are you doing with this house?
Yeah.
You haven't done any updates. You haven't done anything like that. You're getting to this point of your life and cousin so-and-so moved out, cousin so-and-so moved out, what's going on? And then next thing you know, you have an easy way into the first, property of your portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that you're understating, I think, in your journey. And as great as it is, as much as it sucks, I should say, it is 20% down here, 20% down. But it's like, it was necessity at the time, and you weren't as impatient as you thought because they're still in your portfolio and still cash flowing to this day.
100%. I think number one, just get started. That's like number one. If you have especially because real estate, even tax wise, I mean, there's times where even if you show oh, well, I made 10, 20 grand this year in just capital gains alone, that gets wiped out. You're not paying taxes on that,
right,
which is huge.
Yeah.
If you make, you have a salary job, you make 100 grand a year and you pay 70-ish grand in tax, or, you have 70 grand left. Say you pay 30 something grand in taxes. I mean, with real estate, if you focused all your effort on real estate, you're keeping that 100 grand. You're not going to be that 30 grand. It's all so depreciation, insurance, all these other tax deductions, which is what, to Jack's point, is growing your wealth.
Right.
That's really the end goal. We're all here to grow our wealth. If a dollar here, a dollar there today is great, but you want to grow your wealth. And if you can use leverage to do that, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Show the bank that, hey, or show First Equity that, hey, this deal makes sense. We'll all make money together. That's a good partnership. And that's what it's all about. And that's kind of the stage I'm in right now, where I'm my debt to income, for those that don't know, and you can go, if you want to go into debt to income,
I'm good. I'll go ahead. I don't want to run. So I don't want to, I'm good.
Jack warned me. He's like, you're going to cap it out. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And so I did. Your income only can do so much. And what is it, 2 years on your tax returns?
Right. Yep.
So I've rented these places for 2 years, and finally it's helping me out. But now I'm tapped out. So next step for me in my journey is going to be DCSR or hard money,
right.
And that's where you guys come in, because I don't know those things. I'm not familiar.
And that's a prime example of kind of what our pitch is, or our niche, I should say, more than pitch than anything is, there are so many guys and gals and LLCs and whatever you want to, put them in as, that get started house hacking, right? Yeah. We found this amazing thing, 2.5% here, 3% here, 5% here, 7% here. This is great. But eventually that all catches up with you, right? And eventually you get tapped out at these, banks and local markets and stuff like that, where somebody like First Equity has to step in.
Yep.
But where we create that niche is, you've gone through so much of this, and you're a bankable guy, good, strong job, strong income, good credit. You're a bankable guy up and down. But even for the most bankable, customer, it's a headache.
Yeah.
It's a headache producing those P&Ls. It's a headache getting all that stuff together,
Yep.
especially as that portfolio grows and grows and grows. So if you can come to me or somebody like Ryan and give a call and say, Jack, I got another one. Here's the purchase. Here's the rehab. Here's the after repair. Or here's the purchase. Here's the rents. Here's the taxes. And I can give you that quote that much faster with half or a quarter of the headache in terms of underwriting. You want to talk about scaling?
Yeah.
That's the scaling opportunity. And the leverages, yes, it's 20% down. They're a little bit more heavy, but that long-term gain.
You're used to that, though, right?
Yeah. No, you're good. I know where I need to go now. It's a matter of like, and I think the number one thing too for me is like defining the deal. Where do the deals come in? And like when you find that deal, and like all these wholesaler guys, that's all they're all about.
Yeah.
And they get good deals. They do. They're good. They're good at what they do. And there's a value there because they're good at marketing themselves and positioning themselves to get these deals. And that's where it's all about. And that's where, you guys come in too, is that they have deals. You guys can provide quick. These people are thinking in the clouds, kind of like what we talked about before, where they're like, I want to buy 10 houses this year.
Right.
Like that's where their focus is at. They have a team that can help them implement that. But that's where their focus is. I want to buy 10 houses this year because they know if they buy 10 houses, their net worth's going up, or vice versa. They set goals for themselves, but that's where they can't be messing around with banks. Like you can't even
taking
forever.
An hour and a half, 2 hours of your day to print out
Nope.
bank statements and upload this and upload that, and it's for like you just said,
system, like-
right? A guy who's maybe a full-time wholesaler and does DSCR loans on the side and does all the rental properties on the side. He's not going to want to stop his day and upload 15 documents or 2 years worth of tax returns and W-2s and things like that and P&L statements for all these different properties. Yeah.
And also ongoing as that loan is still in process, in place for those people, like not unlike, what we have going on here with this building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just shows, it's fun, interesting you say, because wholesalers really are such a big part of the process, especially in the investment side of things. And it's interesting to hear you say that as a Northeast investor or somebody focused up, relatively for the most part, at least right now in the Northeast. Whereas, the people like Steve and Courtney, who we've had on the podcast, Emil coming up, over the next couple of weeks, like that's how they got their start. That's how they got there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. These are people down in Louisiana, southeastern United States, great people, but kind of different way. Just shows you, to your point in your story, the different ways to skin the cat and get started in the game and really kind of find a constructive path and a productive path for yourself and your family.
Yeah, and I Joe and Ryan doesn't take ever the credit, and me and Ryan's story of meeting is like that classic high school, like he was dating my friend, and like we didn't know him. He was at from CBA. We were Howell guys. Who the hell is this guy? Turns out he likes all the same stuff we do. Let's be best friends. We've been friends 12 years. He's been on vacation with my family like 3 times. You know what I mean? So stupid story like that, but truly in the top 3 of my smartest friends, like, without a doubt, and somebody whose opinion and formation and just leadership is somebody I follow, right? Like an Ant Palmiato, same idea, has that mind where, people are going to follow. So when I got into this business, and I've run your credit a couple times, but it's like, you have these conversations with these people and you see like, anybody can do this thing with the right thought and the right attitude and the right ideas and the placement. Anybody can do this, right? So then, to break back into your story, you meet Brittany.
Yep.
Local girl as well. Dream. You meet her, and now how does that affect your portfolio and that stuff moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I was, it was just like a perfect match, and she's also a dreamer as well. So I think she just needed the confidence to go do it, for herself. And I'm happy that I had the background I did, when I met her, and now obviously going forward. But I finally convinced her. She'd been living in that Bradley place for like I think 7 or 8 years,
right?
Paying rent, and she's like, I've been paying rent. I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that I was there to kind of like, hey, you can do this. Like, we can all do it. Anybody can do it. You just have to want to and have the right team.
100%. I was going to say that's the one piece that not that you left out, but that I would add is 100. It's all about the team.
100%. And that's the ultimate focus, is that team mentality. So, she, and like, I knew people I knew, she knew, people she knew. And so she buys this place in Belmar that we lived in for about 1.5 years. We bought it like pretty much the middle of COVID. which everyone was scared as hell. No one knew where we were going, but we were like, just do it. So she 100% bought that herself, and approved, no problem. 5% down.
Smart.
My lesson, mistake. I was like, you can't put more down. No, leverage. Because PMI is low for those primary loans. Yeah. So, and knowing that, and the plan was like, and I tried to say like, hey, we don't need to be here long term.
Right.
Like that. This is the goal. The quicker that we get out of this place, because you can rent for maybe, or you can live there you have to live there for a year, and then you can do whatever you want. But so that's what we did. We rented it out after a year and a half. Bought a place in Ocean, which we live now. 5% down. Lesson learned again. And that thing's cash flowing like crazy, and the equity is way up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's a 2-family, so it's a 2-1 up front, 1 out back, and it's well over $1,000 a month. Like, it's crazy.
Which those, just for people that aren't going to watch this, that aren't in our area, and it's a mother-in-law suite, if you will,
Yep.
or a back house,
Yep.
how most people call it in the shore area, and they're not even allowed in Belmar to be built anymore. So, those are the last of a dying breed, and they're super, super sought after. So being able to kind of have one of those last Mohicans of a property in these shore towns where they're not really even allowed to be built anymore,
Yeah.
Adds to that value even more, because somebody's going to come down and build this eventually, if you ever sell, they'll come and just knock it down and build this gargantuan, massive property.
Here's the other cool part about that property. And like, this is what I just love about real estate, is that long term, like you're going to win.
Yeah.
So the guy before us, we literally bought it at asking. So, and that's the other thing I also want to reiterate, is that like, I didn't do anything crazy here.
Yeah.
Like my whole real estate career, I didn't like underbid the hell out of people. I think the first one, it was listed $375. I bought it at $350. Second one was like $330 something. I bought it at $317, $316 or whatever it was. And then Brits was listed at $515. We bought it at $515. There's some seller credits or whatever in there, but I am not special at all. And I'm going to reiterate that anybody can do it, because you just get afraid. You're like, well, what could happen? Like, if you surround yourself with the right environment of people and the team, just have those conversations. Hey, am I going to be okay here? Yeah, you're going to be fine. As long as you're financially okay and you're living below your means, you're going to be fine. And now we have, so that place is $1,000 a month.
Right.
Equity. So going back, the guy before that, he bought the place. He was a wholesaler. He bought the place for $200, maybe 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And sold it for $515.
Yeah.
And he had 3 others on that road, that same road, maybe 2 others. One that sold, so he sold one for $515, sold the other for like $600. So he made like $600,000-$700,000 in 2 houses.
Right.
Just from equity. And he bird it too. So, I mean, which was very helpful for him, but it wasn't, he did a really good job of marketing it, and it's just time, time helps.
I think what you said is kind of so huge as well, is like that team thing, right? And it's like, what we kind of try and stress on the show, and we have multiple times, especially with our guests, is like, I joke with you before, I've run your credit a bunch of times, and it's like, we've never done a deal together.
Yeah.
But that doesn't once stop me from when you call or you text me and say, hey, what's going on here? Or I send you a couple, I would send him some, when Barry Habib did the PRMG thing, just recently, I sent him the whole recording, because this is somebody who's going to watch that 2-hour or an hour long sit down with Barry Habib, one of the,
a student,
a crystal baller in the market research, one of the best guys in the real estate market forecasting. This is a guy who's going to watch that for an hour and a half and dissect it. He's going to skip around all the salesy PRMG stuff, but really, truly, okay. I know confidently I sent that to him, and he started taking notes and plotting his next move, right? Because you're hearing Q2 next year. You're hearing, okay, it's going to do this and that. And, this is, I'm going to ask you, just because you're outside the building, we talk about Barry every day. Shout out Barry Habib. How close was he, or on point was he from that hour or so that you watched, do you think, now that we're kind of in the end of the year from where, I guess that was what, sales rally? So that was February. So I sent you that back in February. So if it got lost on you, it's fine. But, you know, how much do you take away from that hour, or how much do you think that kind of like has really played out into fruition over the last year?
When you see people that forecast things and then it happens, don't stop following them.
Right.
Do not stop, follow that person, because those people see things that others don't. And that is so rare.
Yeah.
And those are the types of people that it's people. Like, people have so much good information. And when you see somebody say not just one thing, maybe 2 or 3 things that all happen, there's a lot of weight to what they say.
Yeah.
So that 100%, like that, who really would know,
And that was
crazy.
the thing. And that was why I sent it to you, because it's like we get access to Barry, and we, luckily we're signed on with PRMG, and we have that opportunity to get access to that information and his speakings and his coaching and stuff. And it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy that, and he's built this brand, and his family's all involved and everything. And it's just like, it is so insane. And you're right. When somebody hits it, you got to follow. You start to pay attention, right? And you start to say, okay, I remember you talking about that. And it's like, okay, then it hits again, and it hits again. And it's like, I hate to, blow the smoke, but like Ant's the same way, or Corey's the same way upstairs. It's like, they say some wacky stuff, and then all of a sudden it happens, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. Like maybe everybody else is whack. It's like one of those things. And so, like, for me, that push that you gave Britt, like those little things of like, even me and Ryan thinking to the next, like me and Camesso thinking to that next level of like, he has a beautiful little, a little home, first home, him and Case, they're going to get their family started. But like, maybe he doesn't see himself in it for 10 years, for 15 years. But guess what? That house is never going to go down in value. It's never going to go down in value. And that is another thing that you said that just catches my mind every time. And people think this 30-year fixed, or this buying a home is this life sentence. It's this, once I'm in it, I'm in it. Like, this is it. But it's just not like that. It doesn't have to be that way. Like, when I view, it brings me back to my Aunt Karen, story. Used to go to Aunt Karen's house every other Christmas. She had Christmas, right? And so you have all those memories in there, and you buy it, and you're like, all right, let me go in there. I'll live in there a year. And then you start flipping it, and you start doing all these things. Like, it's like, those are the easy ways to do it. Like, and it drives me nuts. And I get all brain fog and kerfuddled because I get so pumped up about it and so crazy. But like, it's that little push. It's that little, you can do it. It's that little, get the team around you. Rely on Jack, rely on Camesso, rely on your friends, rely on your realtor friend, rely on your title friend, or whoever. Ask the question, stay informed. And those opportunities come up way faster. I don't know. It blows my mind sometimes, because you had, like, again, you're a friend of mine. I've seen it from Jump Street, and you said nothing special.
Literally. I seriously don't believe that. Like, I didn't like do anything crazy where I called a guy whose house is foreclosed on and convinced him to sell. Like, I didn't do any of that, and like, could I have done it without, having cash? Maybe not, but I could have started with 5% down. And like, with a good team, somebody would have been like, hey, Ryan, 5% down. But guess what? Like, at that time, I thought I knew everything. And that was my mistake.
Like anybody.
Yeah, but that's the mistake, and I'm learning my mistakes. And, the number one mistake is follow people that do this all day long.
Right.
And that's, I just like gaining knowledge on things, but that's the wrong mentality. The mentality is, trust people and trust certain teams so that they can do what they do best and help guide you to be successful. Because when you're both successful, that's how a team works.
Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's how it's life. So
100%. And that's the simpleness of it is what frustrates me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Like it's almost like like when you really peel back the onion. And me and Camesso we've shared an office for 2 years. We've talked about this ad nauseum.
Almost 3.
What? Almost 3. Right. Ad nauseum. And it's like the simpleness of it will drive you up a wall, but taking the leap is what starts it. Right. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. So we've gone on tangents here. a couple
love tangents.
No, but talking about brand, I mean, with Barry and First Equity and the mini brand that you've kind of created for yourself, like, I'm actually curious to hear it because I'm not sure about what this is, the EOS thing.
Yeah, Ryan just got signed on with a new company. I'll let you do all the explaining. And it just sounds amazing. I mean, he explained it to me in the office earlier. But it's a company called EOS, and I'll let you kind of take it.
Yeah, so this has been kind of in the works in my head for years in terms of like, what do I want to spend my day doing, and who do I want to spend my time working with? I'm a big proponent of like impact, and I want to feel that I'm actually providing a value to someone that appreciates it.
Right.
And that's what EOS is kind of all about. So for all of you don't know, EOS, and it's kind of they keep to themselves pretty well. It's not like you're going to see them posting sponsored ads on Instagram, which, listen, that's fine, or coaches online, which also fine. But they've built a brand that's literally been like word of mouth. When I first started, I was like, why would you do that? And then I saw like, wow, like their product really speaks for itself. So EOS basically is it's called Entrepreneurial Operating System. So basically what they do, they've created the founder. He was like 21. His dad owned a business and it was like kind of flopping. So he dove in like for 5 years and finally brought it back. And not only did he bring it back, he elevated himself out of it as owner, because he has a specific structure that he likes to implement into each business. And so he was 100% owner. He had a team working for him, all under the same vision and a good, healthy team. And finally, he sold the company, and he's like, well, what do I do now? It's like, he had joined like an entrepreneur. It's called EO out in Detroit. And so he's like, all these people have the same problems. It's like, huh. It's like, I really enjoyed the process of going from like where we're at. He enjoyed that. He just enjoyed that process. And so he dedicated his life to it. And created this company, EOS, which is basically it sets a vision for your company. It helps you gain traction on that vision. So basically the vision is like, yourself, the leadership team of your company are like all rowing in the same direction. Everyone's on the same page. We all know what goal we have and where we want to go. And that's what when we make decisions on a daily basis, that's what we're going to make them on, right. That vision. And that goes for 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals. And all that. But the best part about that is that anybody can make a goal.
Yeah.
But gaining traction on that goal is so hard. That's the hard part. And that's kind of what he focused heavily on, is processes, operation, like structure, and basically creating a system that allows you to gain traction on that, whatever vision you have.
Right.
And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about before, where those guys in the clouds who were thinking like, oh, I want to buy 10 houses this year. To like the regular person, they're like, how the hell are you going to buy 10 houses? I don't know, but that's my focus. So that's how I'm going to think bigger so that I can get there.
Like Grant Cardone.
Yeah. I mean, like, and it's crazy. And like people think, he's such a scammer and stuff, but like, which, whatever, but he thinks big.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because if you think, you can't get anywhere if you don't think big.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about like, we're relatively new in sales, right? I mean, I had somewhat of a sales background from cars, but like, we're relatively new in sales, and we're just talking about accountability and follow up and follow through and all these different things. And, as we have newer guys come and go in the office and try and, make themselves into a loan officer, it's like those are those, little pillars that make you a great loan officer. And me and Ryan as kind of those secondary, guys are, trying to pick up on our faults and instill that on them and say, hey, look, this is where we kind of fell short early in our career. And now we're backstepping or working our ass off to get those skills now in our head and in our processes and in our, daily routine. This is how you can kind of do it from Jump Street when you're first learning. And I think kind of that's where EOS comes in big, is I love the idea of everybody rowing together, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna have a main decree and you're gonna have like, First Equity, we stand for this, this, and this. If not everybody's growing towards that list, you're never going to get there. So I think that's a huge thing that EOS helps with, is kind of getting everybody to that, you said it, vulnerability of like, okay, hand up. I'm not pulling my weight. I'm not rowing. Who else isn't? You're not. Okay, no problem. That's not a problem, but let's fix it.
Yep.
All right? And, we talked off screen, but like, I think of our meetings, our sales meetings, right? Things are going good. People are laughing. Everybody's laughing. Put up the numbers. Who's got the belt? I've got the belt this month. Who's got the belt next month? Over the last couple of months, no one even wants to see the belt. It's like no one wants to see those numbers. And it's like, how do we get ourselves back to that energy of like, how do we get rowing the boat? Let's all go. Who wants the belt? I want the belt. I want this and that. And it's like you said, you can't let the market or the times justify that. It has to be, okay, Comesso's in charge of CPAs and financial people. I'm in charge of the realtor shops. Ant and Corey are in charge of cold call, LLC, cold call LLC leads and blah, blah, blah. And now it's breaking up. So now all of us are now moving, like I'm taking my section and we're going, and then Ryan's taking the, the financial planner side and he's pushing that up, and Corey and Anthony are taking the new leads and they're pushing that up, instead of Jack worrying about realtor shop leads, CPA leads, online leads, paid for leads. So now instead of 5-6 stokes in the fire, I've got one. Yeah. I've got one mission. I have to get as many realtor shop meetings, appointments, breakfast, lunch, dinners, whatever I have to do, that is my focus. Comesso, his focus, who cares about the realtor shops? I don't. I need to know, who's your CPA? Who's your financial planner? How do I get in contact with him? How well do you know him? Is he a good guy? That's all Comesso knows. So then at our sales meeting every Tuesday, right? And stop me if I'm not following the EOS thing. So now on sales meeting Tuesday, I come in and I say, there's my realtor shop list. What's everybody think? Yeah. Now it's Comesso's turn. There's my financial planner list. What's everybody think? And now Brandon, as our, our marketing guy, our producer, he takes those.
Shout out Brandon, bitch.
Shout out Brandon. He takes all those leads, and now the round robin starts, right? And now the round robin starts. And now, so it's still getting everybody the same leads and the same opportunities that we always were. But instead of all of us focusing on 5 different things, we're group mentalitying and we're focusing on one thing and making that our fruit, right? And that's layman's EOS.
And like business is hard. I mean, like there is like a never-ending list of things that you can get involved in, where you could be chasing something for 60 hours a week times 10 people in your office.
Right.
That's a ton of time just out the window. Where you can, if you have that core focus and you're laser focused, each person's laser focused on, listen, you have 1 or 2 numbers that you need to be responsible for on a week-to-week basis. You know how, like, the last company I worked for, and this is how I even came about EOS, it clarified everything for me. It's like, all right, well, how many sales calls do I need to make? Okay, I need to make, say, 5 to 10 a week, or whatever the number was, say 5 a week, new sales calls. And you have to get really specific. Say I hit 5. Okay, well, those 5 are going to turn into, maybe I get 2 proposals a week. Then those 2 proposals, maybe I book, 25% of them or whatever. So I know that I need to focus on getting more, calls in up front so that I can close more. And obviously things change over time, and that's going to happen. That's like market conditions happen. But at the 1-year goal that you set, you're going to have dips and you're going to have ups and downs. Like it happens. But as long as like you set that goal and you're like, all right, well, what do I have to do these 90 days, these next 90 days, is that EOS calls it rocks. What do I have to do in these next 90 days? Everybody gets a rock, or maybe even 3 to 7 rocks, where you're moving in the direction of your team's goals. And once you get there, you're like, if I do these 3 to 7 things in the next 90 days, I'm going to get to my year goal.
Right.
No matter what, because the actions that you're taking are the right actions. So, for Brandon, I need to post 10 times a week, or I need to post 5 times a week. Now he has a number, and now he's like, you know what? I have a purpose, and I know that I need to do this every week so that the team gets to their goal. And, now, like, I've never been a part of a company where I was like, I've worked for, my first company was like 900 million, big company, over 1,100 employees. Second company was like 40-ish million. And then the last company we went from 3 to like 10 million quick, like a year and a half. But I've never been a part of a company where I've been like all in and, like I felt like I was an owner and I wasn't. Like, it's crazy, but like it just shows how good a good culture and a good vision, you're all going together. You're all on the same page, you're all on the same team. It's crazy. I never understood the impact until I was a part of it, but yeah, it was powerful.
And do they have like a size of group or company that their target, like, or can it be one person that wants to come over to you? Can it be 5,000 people that come over to you? Like, yeah,
they have so like anything, like they're extremely structured. So they set they call it a target market audience.
Yep.
So we have like our target market audience is from, if you have revenue between say 2 and 50 million. Now, obviously that's where it works best. Can it work under that? Absolutely. Can it work over that? Absolutely. But it works best from 2 to 50 million in revenue, employees from like 10 to 250, and owners who are open-minded. They want to learn more. They're frustrated with where they are and they want to get more. And that's really the key. Like I want more, and I know that like I'm good at, like for you guys, like you're good at loans. That's what you do. I'm not an expert in anything, but I'm an expert because this brand is behind me of structure. And like, that's what they're experts in, is structuring businesses. It's wild. But when you're an expert in something, we basically say, if you try to tackle everything, you tackle nothing.
Right.
So that's why that focus is so important. But that's really, and it works for literally any industry. So, I mean, they've tackled, any industry, manufacturing, industrial, even, realty companies, finance companies, lawyers, any sort of firm that just wants more. It's all it is. So it's cool. I'll go on and on. I gotta be quiet now.
No, yeah, I just think, well, it revs anybody up. Like, and I think you said it earlier when you just kind of were sitting in our office. I mean, that's one thing that we offer the best. If you see off to my left here, we have my boss's child Thomas over my left shoulder here, peeking in on our episode. That's one thing that we have like in droves here. I think that one of our biggest compliments of our business is just the way that we interact with each other on a day-to-day basis and the people that we've created. And that goes to John and Christian and their hiring techniques and kind of how they've built their company and their vision. But, I just think that we would benefit greatly from, an opportunity like EOS or just some kind of structuring like that where, we really break down opportunities and commitments and stuff like that instead of just having a meeting and saying, okay, you run with that. It's like, okay, it's just like this open-ended kind of like thing. But yeah, and I think it goes back to your, like what you said, like with vulnerability and stuff. And it's like, like John, Christian, Ryan, Anthony, Corey, they were at my wedding. Like they had their own table at my wedding. Like, so like these are guys that I wouldn't mind getting into a sales meeting with and saying like, yeah, like I've fallen short, but it's because my brain is all over the place. So how can I?
Why is your brain all over? And you start peeling back, like you said, peel back the onion. Why is your brain all over the place? Well, I'm responsible for this, and this. How is that going to get us to our goals?
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, so it's an ongoing conversation, but it helps you, dude. I've never been so at peace, like being at like a leadership level ever in my life, that I knew that I was responsible for sales,
right,
calls, and that's it. That's all I had to do.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I can do that.
Right.
Like it makes you feel like, wow, I can do this. And it just simplifies everything. Where you go to sleep at night and you're like, oh shit, I didn't send that email, or oh, I didn't send him that quote. And like, oh man, like things slip.
Right.
But when you're held accountable by every week, you have a meeting and you have those numbers you have to hit. You're like, did I hit those numbers? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Really simple.
And it's that simple. It's like, again, if I'm in charge of realtor shops, my number a week is I went and visited 25 realtor shops.
Yep.
I went and got 7 meetings. Yep. Went, whatever the case may be. And then, it goes to meso and it goes meso. I was in charge of CPAs and financial planners. I've got 10 meetings in the next 2 weeks, and I've got,
yep.
So-and-so. And so now, instead of me, and again, I'm just going to repeat myself, but instead of me worrying every week about, okay, my Tuesdays, I'm going to concentrate on cold calls.
Yep.
My Wednesdays, I'm going to concentrate on realtor shops and realtor follow-ups. On Thursdays, I'm going to concentrate on CPAs and financial planners and follow-ups. It's like, you tell that meeting to even Zuckerberg, or, you tell that week to Zuckerberg or some crazy, elevated human, they're even going to be like, how are you even doing that?
Yeah.
How could you possibly make that, accomplish that? And I just think that that's like, laser focus and delegation and follow through is massive. And I think a huge pillar for you guys. But I also think like the accountability and the vulnerability when you have a group like we do can be achieved, right?
Yeah.
Because we're 20 people and we came up the same way. We all grew up the same way. We came up in the same, towns and the same areas. And it's like, there's nothing, we don't have anything to flaunt and to show anybody else in this, I use the term like locker room, like what are the vibes in the locker room today? Like, and because like, that's kind of what we have here, it's like, we all know, like I said, they were all at my wedding. It's that personal pride. It's, these people, you come in every day excited to see these people.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't we want to row the boat together?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we want to achieve these goals? And if there's a program or something out there that we can use to elevate that and to put us in that much better of a position, we're almost wasting our own time not doing it. You know what I mean?
That's really cool, though, that you guys can, like, honestly say that you have the culture. Like, not many companies, I mean, I've never seen, you could just see it. I mean, literally, I was sitting in here and, like, everyone's walking around saying, I actually, like, enjoying being here. Like,
right.
Yeah.
That's hard to say. Like,
well, especially in the market that we're in right now.
Especially with the way things have been.
Yeah, I mean, processes are great, but a market does have something to do with it a little bit. But no, and it's at the core of it, it is all about having that, more or less. I mean, what I take out of it is it's all about that discipline, what I mean? And just whether you have those 7 items to do or just the 1 or 2, it's, I think it is a big part of just having that structure and that discipline and that scaffolding, whatever you want to call it, to build around. Yeah. And I think we have a very good base, to be fair. I think, I don't think anybody would ever not get benefit from what you guys offer. But I also 100%. Think that we are lucky in that we do have a very good base and a group of people that come from, while yes, same area geographically and somewhat of the same backgrounds, there are those different life experiences to be able to, pick and choose from, to be able to, cherry pick from, whatever the word you want to use. So I do, and thanks for explaining that.
I just think that energy would be awesome. I just think that instead of having that sales meeting energy
for anybody,
of like,
not just for the first
just for anybody, just in that sales meeting energy of like, okay, guys, here we are, calls are down, and it's like, dude, we've all been in there. Like, do you really want to sit in there and get undressed like today?
No,
by your boss? 100% no.
If you create the metric that you need to do to get to your goal and you actively don't do it, either you don't want to be there.
Right.
It's the clearest thing of all time where you're like, this person doesn't want to be here at all. And that's okay. If they don't want to be there, you find out like this, where on the other side, you have someone where you're like, oh, I don't know, they're like pretty good, but they're not, they come one day and like, you're going to find out in 2 seconds who's on your team and who's not on your team when you set these clear metrics.
Right.
We're like, wow, Bob didn't finish his metrics 5 weeks in a row. Like, why?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you have the conversation after maybe 2, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you
no,
literally
totally.
like, is it, have I not trained you? Have I not, what have I not given to you that you can't get those things done? And like, that's what it comes down to is like, why didn't you do what you did? And then it's a conversation. And then if that consistently happens, and like, I mean, my last boss, literally a guy came, this is just a great story that I love to share. A guy came like first week and he's complaining every single day. A guy on the floor is building electrical equipment, like assemblies. And first week, he's just every day complaining, like, his hours are pretty long, like, I can't really do this. And he fired him after a week, like, right away. Because, like, the guy didn't want to be there. Like, you find out real quick who wants to be on your team.
Right.
And, like, we have these weekly meetings, like, all the time. And, like, if you don't want to be a part of it, like, well, you're wasting everyone's time.
Totally.
So,
yeah, that's a great point. Real quick, sorry. Just out of curiosity, like, what's your, or not even your, like, EOS's standpoint, I guess, or role in that process? Like, are they just like a setup, give you the framework and see you later, or is there like an ongoing component to that?
There's really two ways to do it. So EOS has there's really two packages. So you have a self-implementer package where basically tools and resources are completely free to you. You do whatever the hell you want with all the tools they have on their website. It's a lot. They have a lot of tools and resources you can use. You can cherry pick certain ones that are like really good for you. So like the scorecard's one that I love. Accountability chart, how to structure your organization, really good. Or the second option, and that's really what I do, is I'm an implementer of the EOS structures. So I know all the tools and resources. I know all the lingo. I know, and I can come in here. And the number one thing that I liked, because the last company we had was an implementer came in, and he'd come in like for first of all, if you start, it's a focus day. You basically get all the lingo. I kind of drop you with all this stuff, and then 2 days of planning, and then I'll see you later at like a quarterly. And as that sustains itself, it's 3 quarterlies and then 2 annual days. So I come in through those days, and obviously I'm in constant communication with issues, problems, and all that. But you can choose to do it yourself. You can choose to have an implementer. But the implementer, and my job, my objective, is to hold my clients accountable. Where I can see if they start making excuses or that's really my job, is to hold you accountable when you say like, oh well, things aren't great right now. Like, yeah, but are you focused on your actions? What actions are you taking every single week to make sure that you're getting to those goals? And obviously there's going to be things you can't control. That's life.
Yeah.
But as long as you're doing those actions that you guys are the experts, like this is your business and you guys are experts at this. I am not. I don't know anything. I know a small amount, but like you guys are experts, and it's me to help you implement these tools so that you can make the assessment of what is appropriate to do every single week. And then what's appropriate to do for, other people. And it's a joint conversation. You have like your team chime in and be like, listen, like, I posted 15 times, but what did that really do? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's not the right thing to focus on, or maybe it is. I don't know. Like that, and that back and forth is really cool because it opens up the dialogue of like, what, based on like your core values and what your core focus is, should I do this? Should I waste my time on this? Or should I definitely do this because it's going to contribute down the road to our goal?
Right.
So there's long story short there, 2 options. You can do it yourself, or, I can come in and basically I give a free 90-minute explanation of the whole process, basically about EOS. And then I get some facts on like the company that, I'm working with, and say like, hey, give me like, what business do you work in?
Right.
Expected revenue, employees, all these questions. What are your 3 biggest frustrations? What are the 3 things you're really good at? I go through all that, and then I explain how our tools and our process can work for you, or cannot work for you. It's up to you. But that's kind of how the process works for us. So you can kind of do what you want with that.
I just think it's crazy, and it's it's been a theme throughout the conversation. However you take whatever you take from this conversation, I think it's simplicity, right? It's simplicity. It's from the first half of our conversation about Ryan's journey and portfolio was simplicity, and I didn't make this comment prior, but like you view the 20% thing as a mistake when really it might have won you that deal,
yeah,
right? Like So like even
True.
those little things that like, oh, that might have been a misstep. It's like, yeah, but that 20% deal, everybody else could have maybe been that 3, 5, 7% guy. And here comes this 4-year-old guy at that time, I think you were, right? 24, with a 20% offer. I'm in. Here's my guy.
Yeah.
So it's like simple things like that and simple thoughts and moves and EOS is the same kind of thing. And it's like those ideas seem so simple because you're making them so the idea is simple because you make it so complex because, again, Jack Ailing, you're trying to do 5, 6 different things to make one thing happen when if you just concentrate on 1 or 2 numbers a week, that would be your goal. Those are more obtainable things, and those are what creates, rows that boat forward to the goal. Simplicity, I think, is the overall word of the episode, I think. And like when, and it just popped in my head as you were kind of finishing up, and it's like, if I was to cap this episode with one word, it's simplicity, right? It's, don't overthink stuff.
Yeah.
Find a guy on Twitter, find a guy on TikTok, on Instagram that you value their ideas. Do some research on that guy. If they get right 1 or 2 things right, 4 things right, holy crap, let's follow this guy. Let's go to the end. If you were a bettor and you found a bettor on Twitter that was giving out 3 picks a night and he was hitting on 2 out of 3 picks a night, you'd be following that guy to the end, right?
Yeah.
So it's that same kind of idea. You can take that into whatever you love, real estate, golf, F1, soccer, whatever it is, you follow those people that are the best at that, right? So it's the same for real estate. It's the same for all, for investing, and there's so much data out there, and there's so much information that, like, you can make it simple. Like, you can really truly take piece, and now patch mail this, beautiful thing. And I think that's like my biggest commend to you is just like, how simple you've made it. Although there's been some ups and downs, trials and tribulations, you never overthought it. You said, I have a house here, but I have to live here. So I'm going to rent out that property. I'm going to go live there. Right? Like, it's like so stupid. Like, and it's like so crazy.
I feel like it's not like, so I always had that vision of like, it started with the vision of like, I'm going to own real estate.
Right.
Like, when I was young, I just, that's what I wanted to do. And I didn't know, like, and I'm not to the accountability point.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't hold myself accountable unless I really want to do something. If I'm really passionate about something, I'm going all the way.
Right.
Like, all the way. And that's kind of how this whole EOS thing happened. But like, same thing with real estate.
But volleyball and
I'll go.
100%.
I go all out.
Yeah.
And like things that I don't really want to do, I don't do.
Right.
But like, that's a component of the people you're around. That's a component of what motivates you. What do you enjoy? All these things play into that. But like, when you're a part of a true team, I mean, you do play sports your whole life, like when you're part of a good team, you want to do your best at all times. You're going to like,
100%.
You're going to work hours on the side because you want to show up and be like crisp, So there's a whole bunch of different things that play into it, but you're right. Simple, proven processes over time that have been thought out over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that brings us back to First Equity, right? I mean, we are in the epitome of watch out mode, right? Or whatever you want to say. Like, we are retooling. We are constantly thinking. These meetings have become workshops. These thoughts have, we are trying to carve out our share of this market. And it's like, maybe we have to implement some of that simpler stuff. And it's like, instead of all of us trying to think of an idea, it's like, no, stop.
It's exhausting.
You take that.
Yeah. That's
going to be your baby right there. Whatever that is, whether that be open houses, like I said, open houses, realtor shops, CPAs, finance. That's your goal. And I need 10 appointments by the next time we meet.
Yeah.
For that specific person.
And say you get to 5 and you're like, listen, I called 575 people and I got 5. I'm like, all right, well, maybe the
we're not calling the right people. Right.
Or we're not calling the right people.
Right.
Either, like, all right, let's get into that. Why? All right, maybe the way we're reaching out to people is wrong. Let's like this. You guys, and like that's a cool thing I've seen since like the past year or two. You guys have adapted quick. You're like, you start doing this organic stuff. It's good stuff. And the coolest thing I can see is that people in a company are taking action. Like, that is number one. Because if you can't take action, you could brainstorm for 5 million hours. You're never gonna go anywhere because you didn't take the action. You guys are taking action. Like, this channel's been awesome. I've personally benefited from it. Jack sent me. It's been great. and you're making an impact, and that's the key. Now, the things that you're doing day to day, can they be better? Of course, everything could be better.
Right.
Everything could be worse too. You got to find out what your vision is. Number one, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Do you want to do 30 million? Like, do you want to go 50% more? Like, what is it?
Right.
Where do you want to go? Who do you want to help? Do you want to just help investors? Do you want to help? Who do you want? That's what I'm saying. It's your core focus of who do you want to really target? Who is your perfect customer? Because when you find your perfect customer, everything that you do is going to be to that person. And then you're going to be really valuable to that person. And that's my next stage of real estate really is this. I DSCR loans, I don't know anything about. I need to learn more about that. So
then you've opened up the conversation, to that next position. So, you've maxed out conventional loans, right?
Yep.
So Ryan Charterina LLC, what does the next, let's keep it short, 5 years to you look like in terms of scaling, in terms of next move? What does those next 5 years look to you? And that's everything. That's business. That's personal. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah, real estate's going to be a big part of it. So number one is, this new endeavor for me is, I love this so much that I want to help everybody. It's one of the most powerful things that I've ever seen in terms of implementing a structure. I've never seen anything like it, and I've been a part of it, and it's been unbelievable to be a part of. So that's my number one. Number two, we have a good amount of properties now. The next step is, my wife's a wedding photographer, so she has her own business. She's also a full-time teacher.
Britbot Photography. She did our engagement photos. They were phenomenal.
Hell yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she so that's kind of next stage is, we're probably going to be talking about. Well, I'm lying. We're talking about kids already. Shh. Ah! She's 35. I'm 30.
There you go.
So
we've all punched
she's
up.
on the clock.
Hey.
Clock's ticking. So that's the next conversation for us. So in the meantime, got to get ready. Financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the above. Got to get ready. So, in terms of real estate, we want to definitely have a commercial spot where we have. That's really our next step. Where I can have my business office in there, her business office in there. And then we can also have some other existing units. Now, obviously, that's going to take a lot, and we got to figure that out. But like you said before, equity. You have equity in your properties. Maybe we can use that, and that's what a good team's all about.
Yeah,
that's.
and you're in a 10 times better spot than a guy like myself who has no properties or just working on my first one. I'm not going to have that opportunity to pull equity out of different places, and even a guy like Comesso with one property is in a better position than a guy with none. And that brings us back to minute 5 of this podcast. And it's something that we stress all the time on the phone with newer borrowers. That first deal, that first one is so important. And even as lenders, we hold that first deal in such regard, in terms of leverages, in terms of credit, in terms of just leeway and exceptions. If we're going to have such a more, our creditors or our lending partners are going to have such a more appeasing eye to someone who's done 1 than someone who's done 0, and it's just that 1. It's not 0 to 5. It's not like we're going to take that much effort out of a guy who's done 5. It's just that one deal, and it's that little push from a partner, from a spouse, from a friend. That Brittany was lucky enough to get. Me and Comesso are lucky enough to get this upfront education with Anthony and Christian and John, and really see kind of the inner workings of good deals, bad deals. We deal with deals every single day. So when I am, I don't want to speak for Ryan, but when I am personally in a position where I am able to kickstart my portfolio and get that going, my father's retiring in the next 5 years, so he'll be my catalyst, like you said. He'll be a big part of my team. But it's all now. I'm all taking in this information, right? I'm learning all this. I'm seeing market growth, elevations, all these kind of things, and learning these background mentalities, so that when it is my time to go, and move, I'm that much more ready. And I think it's 2 different schoolings, right? It's me I'm going to take the ops side and the actual lending side and bring that to my investing, and kind of maybe look at it that way, where you were more of a buy now, talk later situation where it's like, I just need a house because my fucking job is here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to live here. Like, what am I going to do? And it's just like, I just can't thank you enough for coming, man. It was such a pleasure talking to you. And I think like, we went on a bunch of tangents, and I think, the Reposado had a little bit to do with that. But, I just think that you bring a true real life example to somebody in our generation, right? Everybody that we've had on the podcast, and that's no offense to them, has been a touch older than our generation. But this is somebody who's right in there with us day to day, and grew up in the same era and is dealing with a lot of the same things. And you were able to kind of build this life for yourself, which, congratulations. And I hope that, the next steps are just as successful, obviously. But, can't thank you enough for coming out and kind of giving us the background and just kind of giving us an opportunity and a viewing of like, this is possible, right? Like, anybody can house hack if you're eligible, and, to reach out to, if you have a friend in lending, if you have a friend in realty, if you have, if you're a watcher of this show, this is something that can happen, to anybody. And it's even easier, if you are somebody who wants to put 20% down or has the money too, and, maybe you're not bankable, but you do have the money to put down, come talk to us. Yeah. Come talk to First Equity or, PRMG or whoever. There are programs out there for you. You just have to talk to somebody.
And like that's the cool part is just, if you want to start doing, like I was talking to a guy I went to college with 2 days ago, and he's like, dude, he just moved down to, he's a Disney engineer right now. Wow. Shout out Nico.
Nico.
Yeah. So yeah, he went to Stevens with me, and he's like, I know everything about engineering, but like I wake up, I do my 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups. He's got his routine, goes to work, comes back. He's got like not much time left because he's grinding to the gills.
Right.
He's like, I don't know anything about like finance or money or any of that.
Right.
I was like, dude, I got like 150 books for you. Like starting off with Rich Dad Poor Dad, like there's two different mindsets. Read this. And so, he wants it. That's the key. Like if you don't want it, you can talk someone into doing something all day long, but if they don't want it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah. 100%. 100%, man. And again, thank you so much for coming. Yeah. Ryan Charterina, part of the EOS team now, but just more importantly, just a friend, a good person to lean on, good heart, really, really smart dude. So we'll put all your information in the episode. So make sure you send that to Brandon so that we can get all that stuff right. Comesso, any final thoughts on what we've heard today? I mean, I just think that we got crushed over the head with like just really good information on kind of what we can, almost things that we can implement.
Thanks for taking the time, man. It was great to make the connection, and it's funny that we went to school together and didn't. Obviously Classic. A little bit of a couple of years difference there, but no, like I said, more than anything, really appreciate you coming on. Love to, and it's not revolutionary in what you're saying, but it's always nice to reaffirm it, because I think through all the guests that we've had, there is that different little tidbits and those little pieces that you can pick off and just, try and implement them into your own life. And
totally.
We take you, we really appreciate you sharing that with us.
And I think that's true. Views are what they are, and the back, the exposure is what it is. But I think if you've been with us from the jump and you've kind of taken your time and you've gotten to know us over these last 8 episodes, and we're going to continue, like you said, we have guests coming in next week and more. I think that there's no doubt that there's been a tidbit in each and every one of these episodes, and that can be used and brought forward in any walk of life, whether that's business, whether that's just personal, from last week with Jim and, with Jim DiOrio. And,
right.
and I just think that, I can't thank you enough, or obviously Charterina, for coming, but Brandon and Comesso, we're on episode 8 where we thought this was going to be like a 1, 2, 3 time. We've had multiple guests. We've had, as many views as I could have, thought we would have, which is only 50 or so. But, I just can't thank you guys enough for, coming on the journey with us. And we're going to continue to kind of get back into getting content out. We went through a couple big life events, me and Comesso, so we were stepped out for a couple of weeks. So we will be coming back with more guests. This is our kind of first episode back, so apologies if we went on a couple tangents, but can't thank you guys enough. Episode 8.
Last thing I would say is don't let the only tidbit be from today's episode that T.J. McCarthy was one of the best swimmers in CBP history. So really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And from that,
I have a good story about
just
it.
so we don't
We'll
go
tell
down,
that out.
just
We'll
so
tell
we
that
don't
off
go
air.
down the high school sports rabbit hole. Thank you
That's
so
it.
much for
Thanks,
watching.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.